It's Thursday, it's 8 o'clock, and Adrian's back again. Mate, you there? Where have you gone? There he is.
Oh,
good evening, darling. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah, just usual technical issues with me. So, but I'm all right now.
This is the person who reviews metal detectors and he can't use his computer.
It's all to do with Microsoft. God, blimey, I've got COVID coming again.
Microsoft throat.
Yeah, Microsoft throat. No, I've been busy. I'm still getting over my birthday because my wife had her birthday on Monday, and it's just continuous drinking and partying. So you're right.
You've had a delightful week of cavorting and frivolity.
My daughter's birthday on Friday.
Oh, good Lord. What a week.
Yeah, I know. And I'm going to Sutton Hoo on Sunday.
Yes, I know. You're looking forward to that, aren't you? Family birthday present?
Yeah, staying in a hotel and been given permission to detect on it as well.
On Sutton Hoo itself? Marvellous.
No. Yeah, I got a voucher and the son made in Word and it said I'm allowed to, so I'll just show it. Yeah.
Well, I'm very excited. We've got the first big detecting show rally this weekend. Very excited. Shane's very excited. We went up on Tuesday to view the land, and Shane made a brief video of it. And just to show you what the land's like for this weekend, I think we've got 140 acres. I think we've got about 70 people coming. If your name's not on the list and you want to, this is near Blythe Bridge in Staffordshire. Inbox me and I'll point. Oh, hello, Mrs. Gaylor.
No, it's Megan.
Hello, Ms. Gaylor.
Yeah,
Hello. Is that it?
Router scale.
So I'll just have a brief look at this land. Have a look at this, Adrian. Hello, Megan.
So, ladies and gentlemen, thought we'd give you a little look at the ground. It's all been tilled over. The majority of the sticks are down, but there is some sticks up. We've got the weird usual landscape of it. So we've got all this bit. And then we've got the second field, which I'll show you in a sec. Also got hard parking out here. This is all concrete. Now it is lumpy and bumpy, and there's old building foundations on this, so when you do drive over it, please be careful you don't get bridged on one of them with your car. I've got a blue tit on my car. So this is where we'll be parking, and this will be the first field we'll be entering. And here's the second field. Absolutely knackered walking up it. Anything that's plough. All the way up there. It's a big field, this one. Just go further down the hill and you can see a little bit more there. It's an awfully big field.
So there you go. And I don't know if you noticed, and somebody else pointed out you look like Harry Enfield. I don't know if you noticed the Chinook flying over in the latter part of that video.
No, I didn't. No,
Little Chinook by the wind turbine.
I don't mind looking like Harry Enfield 20 years ago. But
loads of money.
It's probably a bit away.
He's a bit of a porker, isn't he?
Yeah, it's a shame because it looks really good. It's too far for me.
It's not only that, mate. The weather is as good as it's been today. It's going to be like this on Sunday as well. Mr. Dempsey's coming up with composite cleaning pencil. He's coming along. Tony, yep, Si's coming. TC Detect, Tony Kaywood's coming. Digger Dawn, she's coming. Chris Langston.
Wow. It's all the stars.
Regdon's were coming, but Marcus is abroad in Czechoslovakia. Nigel's at an event in Staffordshire Showground, I think it is. So Aaron and Seb are coming from Regdon. And I'm hoping that they're going to be bringing the Days 2 with them to show people what it's like in the field as well. So,
just if there are spaces available still?
Yes, there are spaces available. Obviously, at a premium, we're getting there. But yes, we did originally have 50, but the farmer gave us the second field, so we're able to go above and beyond that. So 70 to 80. If more people come, we do have obviously 140 acres, so I'm sure that'll be fine. Anyway, let's bring tonight's guest on because.
Can I just quickly say, certainly. My mate James, who I detect with, I hope he's okay because he got taken into hospital yesterday.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, I hope he's all right.
Yeah, he's all right. Well,
kisses, James. Kisses.
Yeah, I've not heard from him. I presume he's alive. I hope he is because he's just brought a dais. So.
But if he isn't, you get the permission to yourself.
Well, I'm more concerned about this dais he just brought. So. Yeah, never mind.
Right, without further ado, let's bring on tonight's guest because we've kept him waiting long enough. Good evening, Mr. Blackwell. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Looking at me hanging around with the cool kids.
Where?
I'm doing well.
We're not the cool kids. You're the cool kids.
You're the cool kids.
No,
dude,
you're the cool one.
I'm the least cool person you're ever likely to meet. I just think I'm cool, but I'm far from it. And Adrian looks like Harry Enfield 20 years ago.
Cool Harry Enfield. Yeah. So, no. Thanks for the invite, guys. Thanks for the
Gary,
invite.
it's a pleasure to have you as ever. But obviously, we spoke to you in the past, and I think generally most people always think of you as XP Gary.
Mhm.
But tonight we want to shy away from that a little bit. If you want to talk about any of that, obviously that's fine. But we want to find out a little bit more about yourself, your background in metal detecting, machines that you've used otherwise, your interests outside of the hobby. I think it'd be nice to get to know you a little bit better in that respect because, as I say, people just think you're as Gary from XP. And
Yeah.
there's much more to you than that.
Well, let's find out.
Let's find out. Let's play spin the wheel.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Question
Well,
1.
I think people do, like Dave said, think you were just purely XP, but you go back, not age because you're only 38, but
That's
you
right.
go back with many different brands. I know at Detectable, I was talking to you about Deep Tech, and you were one of the first distributors, weren't you?
That's right. Yeah. Well, the first real UK distributor and tester and things like that. So I had a good relationship with Deep Tech. They used to send me machines to tweak around with. Happy days. They were good. They're still going, I believe. They're still going strong.
Yeah.
Yeah, really
So,
good machines. Deep Tech, Golden Mask, Nocta back then. Used to do a lot of testing and sort of field work for Nocta. So yeah, that's what floats my boat really. I just love testing different machines. I think we all detect for different reasons, don't we? Some people do it for the fine, some people do it for the exercise and fresh air, some people do it to get rich. But what really floats my boat is the technical side of things. The fines don't really excite me too much. But if I can get that machine working on that field, that's sort of job done for me, really.
yeah, I agree. I saw a video, one of yours a while back, a couple of months, where you went out with one of your friends and there was a challenge to find a Roman, a hammered,
Steve, yeah.
and yeah, and that's a pretty tough feat, isn't it, in itself? Because you were changing the settings all throughout the day, and you found probably what most detectorists never find in their life. So, what I'm interested in, what's your background, Gary? Because you've obviously not always done it as a full-time job. Well, don't do it as a full-time job.
Well, originally I set up the website called Gary's Detecting. It's still up there. It's really quite primitive, but because it was in like the early days of the internet, Google kind of liked it, and it was quite highly ranked. And I just like reviewing machines on it. And even now, if I pick up an old machine, I've still got to go and watch one of my reviews to see how to use it because I've totally forgotten about it. So, it's a great form of reference for the old machines. And I look back and think, do you know what? They were really happy days. We had some great fun, and we've done a lot of work for charity and stuff like that. And the hobby has changed quite a lot in a short space of time. I think people's expectations are probably a lot higher when it comes to a machine now, whereas back in the day we were just happy to be out, weren't we?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
When you mentioned his old videos, Adrian, what I didn't mention, I picked up a metal detector at a car boot sale at the weekend, and I picked up my phone. Thought I'm going to have a look about the information about the detector before I buy it. What do I find? Gary's review straight away. So I had a quick look at Gary's review of that machine and bought it on the spot. So thanks to Gary, I've got a Fisher F2 for 40 quid. Go back to Gary's old videos. All them old machines, all that information's on there. Brilliant.
Yeah. All in HTML. I can remember the evenings trying to do all the code and remember the code, and it's crazy. If you wanted a box in the middle, that was a challenge, because you had to code it all up.
Open bracket center.
Yeah, but I mean, it still pops up now. If I do a search at Gary's, I think, crikey, that's still going. But I've still got the Gary's Detecting Forum, which we've got some diehards on it. Sort of the old school. They still go on there and have a little natter from time to time, which is nice.
Yeah,
and that's one of the things that has changed, because before social media, forums were the key. and forums
Yeah.
were hit all the time. And obviously now social media, we're all able to pop on there and put our finds, and there's thousands of people doing it. But the forums, there's still the same people using the forums, the same people that used the forums 10, 15 years ago, and they're still there and still going.
I think the forum probably offers more of a community for like-minded people, doesn't it? It's almost like a gentleman's lounge. Pardon if there's any ladies on there, but it's just a bunch of mates going on the forums and just sort of communicating. Where Facebook tends to be very cold and distant, because if someone posts something up, people think is excuse me, acceptable just to like, rather than interact. People don't interact very much on Facebook, do they? It's just the thumbs up, bit like Instagram and all that lot. It's just like, thumb up, does nothing.
I think also people are more how can I put it, willing to create and stir things up on Facebook, whereas in a forum you don't get it, do you? And if you do, people know who it is and they just think, oh yeah, so much.
And also metal detecting via social media has become diluted. That dilution isn't there on the forums. It's still it's still there. It's still as it is.
And also,
sorry, go.
No, I was going to say also forums are categorized. So if you want to refer to the Deus 1, Deus 2, whatever, it's in that box. Whereas Facebook is 50, 60, 100 posts down next time you need it. So, sorry, Adrian. Yeah.
That's all right. I was going to say the NCMD launched their app this week and they've got a forum as well. There's not many people using it at the moment. It's predominantly beginners. But it's interesting how they've gone and promoted that more than their Facebook page, which we all know had people from all over the place commenting and saying things about them and stuff like that. But they've created a forum now, and I've been on there and I've been looking. There's quite a few people who are new to the hobby asking questions like usual sort of thing. What's the best metal detector to buy, and where can I detect? But yeah. Do
you know I'm on there now? I'm on there now, Adrian, the NCMD forum, and obviously anybody who is a member of the NCMD, you can download this and use your membership details, log in. You've got all sorts going on in there, so please, obviously, all the information and all your documents you might need as well are on there as well. But I'm just looking on the forum now, as you say, and it is just like the old forums. I'm not going to go and say, go to this forum, go to that forum, go to the others. There's many. But it just reminds me of the likes of Gary's Adventures forum, that community. And, hey, that might be what the NCMD needed, that sense of community back within them.
Well, I think they've got the app now, which anyone who hasn't downloaded it, it's worth downloading because it's free. You can record your finds. You've got a membership card on there. Take a photo and all that malarkey. But yeah, they seem to have upped their game a bit. So it'll be interesting how that goes going forward.
Yeah.
I was just saying. Oh, God, I was going to say that.
It would be good, wouldn't it? It would be good if someone like the NCMD actually arranged a big rally like Detectival just to get everyone together, and it would sort of show them off in quite a strong light.
Wow.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think they're appearing at Rodney Cook this year. So, but I'm not sure about Detectable. But
if they, as Gary said, if they were actually to do their own
organise it rather than
an NCMD rally where they're, because am I right in saying there used to be NCMD regional rallies? I can remember a Northwest rally where it was invitation to the Northwest members only. But if they could do something big like that, I'm sure there'll be ideas in the pot under the new the new board and what have you. So yeah, we'll look forward to that.
Yeah, I've got my new membership card today. It's pretty cool, actually. It's a lot better.
I've got mine actually. I've signed up for 3 years as well, which you've not been able to do in the past. You can do 1, 2, or 3 years. 21 quid, 3 years made sense. Yeah, anyway, we're sidetracking the conversation. What's on?
Yeah. So, Gary, what's your favourite metal detector? No, I was only joking.
Well, we've been talking about that, me and Dave, before the show, actually.
And do you know what, Adrian? He showed me a machine, which I'd heard of, but I didn't realise how bloody complicated it was. And
Do you want to see it?
We want to see it. We need to see it. You like this?
One of my favourite machines. Oh, there she is.
Nautilus. Yeah.
You got 4 9-volt batteries. This is
Brilliant.
standard. This is how it comes. So on the back
external batteries,
you've got 4mm gaps in the casing, so the water can come in and easily run out as well. You've got tuning buttons at the back to put it into all metal, blah 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 blah, and on the front there, these buttons actually tune the search coiling to the ambient temperature, where it's all done by microprocessor now. You've got to tune it in yourself. So if you're bringing it out the boot of your hot car into the cold field, you tweak the search coiling, which is concentric, by the way. And on the front there, robbed off a 1950s gas cooker, you have got the dials there. So as I was saying to Dave, once you've tuned the coil in, just set it to gas mark 4 and you're good to go.
That is what I missed in the hobby.
He hasn't finished yet. There's another button.
Oh, there's another button there, retune button. Really deep, really sensitive to small hammers, 14 kilohertz. But the beauty of this machine is it runs a 2-tone, which has got iron, low tone for iron, and high tone for anything sort of decent, which is a lovely tone. But it works in such a way that the iron is in your left ear and the non-ferrous is in your right ear. So it sounds like a bit of a headbanger, but once you've tuned it up, it's brilliant, really good fun. So each side of that control box, those buttons are for the all metal circuit, those buttons are for the discrimination circuit. So you can have it as high or low, whatever as you want. But
am I right in saying it doesn't have a speaker on, so you can only use headphones as well?
Yeah, no speaker. You've got to use headphones, but they've got to be specially adapted to get the right and the left ear. I think the stereos would probably work, but yeah, absolutely bonkers. Love it.
Where did you get it from, Gary?
It's an American machine. I can't remember the bloke's. Actually, I want to go on the Gary's Detecting and see the review. All the information about the Nautilus is there, and it's a real nod to the designer who's no longer with us. Tyndall, I think his name was. But yeah, it's an American machine from probably 87, something like that, 1987. But because they looked ugly, nobody bought them. But you see now the people who have got them, they knew what they were like. Whereas we were all going for the pretty looking machines, the XLTs and the Fishers. But these are the ones who actually done the business. And I really wish I known back then what I know now about this machine, and I'd have cleaned up with it, I think.
It's that to me is really, I love that machine. That looks brilliant. That's like British Lowland made it. But
yeah,
do you think in the hobby, image has suddenly overtaken, a bit like fashion on machines? People will go for a machine how it looks as opposed to its forms.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is all about image now. It definitely, and how deep is your machine? The old question. I remember being at a rally the first time I met a certain person, and he came up to me and not, "Hello, Gary, how are you? Pleased to meet you." He said, "My machine's deeper than yours." And that's the first thing he ever said to me. And I thought, me and you aren't going to get on, mate, You're all in the same hobby. And a case of who's got the biggest gonads, is it? We're all in the same hobby. So let's just sort of chill out and get on with it.
Yeah.
Do you know, Gary, I mentioned it multiple times. Adrian, I've mentioned it. There's one machine, I don't know if you've come across it, and it's one machine that I've always been attracted to, but when I have looked at it, friends of mine, I've been scared to even pick it up, and that was the Bliss Tool V5. Have you ever used one of them at all there? Because they've got knobs and things all over the place.
Never used one. I've heard good things about them, but I've also been told it's all smoke and mirrors. You know, if they were that good, I think we'd all be using them today, wouldn't we?
Probably, yeah, probably.
You know, I've actually got. Sorry. No, I've talking about technology. I've got a White's V3i sat there, which I borrowed off a friend, which he's not used for years, and I think it's got about 135 menus in it, and it's so complicated. It's got a coloured screen on it, and once again, Gary's detecting review on it. But I've had to dig. I wrote a book on it some years ago when I had one little pamphlet. I've had to dig it out and relearn it just to get the thing switched on. Yeah, absolutely crazy machine.
It's true though. It is a lot of it is fashion, I think, on machines.
Yeah.
I got the Vista X 6 months ago, and it's not as well built as a lot of modern machines, but it found me a gold noble, and my mate who was detecting with me was blown away with the machine. It's got 7 dials on it, 8 AA batteries, but I've probably had the most successful detecting out of all the machines I've tested over the last 2 or 3 years. But it doesn't look sexy. Oh, look at that. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, Gary,
I remember
bring that to a
I remember speaking to the deep tech guy, and I said, look, your machine's great, but it just looks so boring. It's so old. Yeah. He sort of basically said, well, it's what's inside the box that counts here, my friend. You know what I mean? And he was right, but I tried to explain him that if it looks like it's doing 100 miles an hour stood still, it's going to sell. If it looks like it's not going anywhere, it's not going to sell. So, you know, I see they have made some improvements to the visuals on it over the years, but could never
that Deep Tech Vista that Adrian's got with the big red X across it.
Yeah,
that's attractive. Big black machine with a big red X. That's sexy. Yeah. So they've probably improved a little bit.
Yeah. It's very costly. The injection mold. I mean, take XP for example. They do it all in house. The injection molding is so expensive. So if you wanted to outsource, I don't know, make something that big, injection mold, you're looking at probably 20 grand. So it's all about investment. Whereas people like Rutus, Deep Tech, they use them. They go to the local metal worker. They get a blow molded or a Chinese equivalent. I'm not saying they do, but it's easy because if you're a small brand, it's very costly to produce these sort of machines. So, I think it's...
but, I mean, let's go back to the old machines. Do you remember the Red Heats? They were like a little cottage industry in Peckham, Vic Five-Ash. I mean, they were just literally 2 plastic forms, what you bought from Maplins, I should imagine, glued together. But he still made it look cool. You know, it looked really good.
Well, the lasers used to look cool in the day, didn't they?
Yeah. But we're all mugs because we all go for the coolest looking machine once again, don't we? You know, rather than the ones what are potentially the ones what do the business, like we see just there with that.
I don't know. My 40 quid might pay off here.
Yeah, but
absolutely.
I do think a little bit of being British. We like the underdog. I don't know. I think it's like me. If I get a beginner machine or a basic machine or something, I love the challenge of trying to get the most out of it. Probably like yourself, Gary, with not that, but I like it. I like the way. I remember when I Router saw 71 about 2 or 3 years ago. I went out in the field and there's loads of guys with, I won't say what brand, but a very popular one, swinging along, coils going like that, and I literally on purpose walked behind them with the Router sort of 71, and I found a hammered, I found a sixpence, and you could see these guys just looking at me like that, and I thought,
Yeah,
My machine costs half the price of yours.
that's right. That's right. Yeah.
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 But a lot of it is I want to look good. So
Yeah. Yeah.
and marketing as well, PR.
That's true. And at the end of the day, the machine you're most comfortable with is the best machine. I mean, years ago, I got an old Tesoro Silver Sabre. Do you remember the metal box ones?
Yeah.
And I went out on one of my little sites, which has got some sort of nice Roman coins, or it used to. And I'd done a review, but I didn't call it the Silver Sabre. I called it Super Sensitive Little Machine, SSLM or something. Done a review, showed some finds and things like that. And I did have a great day. I think by the next week, I'd had about 12 orders for this machine when it comes to market. Yet it was a machine which was 10 years old then. So when I told the people in the next review what it actually was, they couldn't believe it. Really? A Tesoro? Yeah, it's a Silver Sabre. Brilliant
That's sad,
machine.
isn't it? Tesoro.
Yeah.
I got the Tesoro. Oh, what is it? Oh, little tiny control box.
You got the Amigo.
No. Oh, Tesoro, it's named after a mountain, I think. No, Tesoro. Oh, Dave, I said to you the other week, runs off a PP9. Lovely little machine. Came out
Cibola.
about 3 years ago. Anyway, that's a lovely little machine. Light, all right, it's not waterproof.
Laser Scout.
No,
Cibola.
No, I said it the other week. It's lovely. Control box is about the size of a packet of cigarettes, probably smaller. Tesoro. Great little machine, but it's not waterproof and all that malarkey, and you can't update it. But it's sad what happened to Tesoro. I think they just didn't move with the times, did they?
I think you're right. They didn't really go with the social media, the modern marketing. They wanted to just put an advert in perhaps a magazine or something like that. And
nothing wrong with that, though, Gary.
No, nothing wrong with that. But you've also got to massage the other angles, haven't you? Really?
Yeah, you've got to cover all the channels. Yeah, same as whites.
Yeah. I mean, Tesoro used the same advert in the magazine, which was going the same advert from the 1980s with those two guys with their heads superimposed on
free supplement on how to melt.
You know,
Outlaw.
No,
Vaquero. Tijon de Leon. Cibola.
Tijon. Oh, I've had a Tijon.
No, Tijon's a bit of a bigger box on that one.
Yeah.
Well,
I
nearly made one of our jokes then and stopped myself, Adrian.
Oh, God, don't Dave.
What's that one?
No, it's
Cibola again.
Have you heard of any new companies coming into the industry, Gary?
I don't think there is at the moment, really. No. I know in places like Bulgaria and Russia, there's like sort of cottage industries, really small companies that do 5 or 6 machines and things like that. But I don't think there's any sort of mainstream manufacturers coming through. No, not heard of anything anyway. Maybe it's a sign of the hobby is sort of perhaps peaked. I don't know. There's enough for everyone. There's enough choice, isn't there?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Diablo.
Oh, we have to get it out.
It'll be the Amiga. I'm sure that'd be the Amigo with a tiny box under the arm. Because me and Paul went out with the Amigos not so long ago, and crikey, you have to work a lot harder. Oh, that was the last one, Mojave, wasn't it? Yeah.
Mojave, yes.
Mojave.
Yeah.
Well, Gary, we've talked a lot about detecting, but I did say at the start of the show we want to learn a little bit more about you.
Go on.
One of the questions from one of the videos that we shared quite regularly via the Archaeology Metal Detecting magazine, your love of dogs.
Yes. Yeah, my love of...
And I found that before the show we've been talking, and I found out a hell of a lot about people don't realise what you do now in the evening times regarding. Tell about the dog you've got at the moment, first of all.
Well, I've got Missy. She's a 3-year-old rescue German Shepherd. You've probably seen her on some of my videos and that. She's great. We got her at 3 months old and we were her third owner. So she was a bit of a basket case, but now she's absolutely fantastic. And that's what sort of spurred me into another sort of hobby, really, which is dog training. I do a bit of dog training in the evenings for sort of local people who've got troublesome dogs. A lot of it is actually training the owners to live with the dogs, because the owners don't realize what it takes to sort of have a well-behaved dog. You see it all the time. They're out with an extended lead, the dog's on a harness, it's pulling like a steam train, and they've got absolutely no control over it. So that's what I'm sort of doing evenings and some weekends, and I'm getting quite a few phone calls about sort of, you've done so and so's dog, or you trained so and so, can you help me? And so I'm not charging at the moment. I'm just doing it for local people who are desperate, and it's sort of keeping the dogs. It's keeping the dogs off the euthanasia tables, really, because these people buy dogs in lockdown. I was just saying to Dave, I had a bloke with a German Shepherd yesterday, a 3-year-old Shepherd. It's in a flat all day. He has to go to work. He doesn't walk it, and he's at the end of his tether. It's chewed the house up. Who wants it? You know, and it's not quite as simple as that. You've got to go and assess the dog and see if it's got any issues before you try and rehome it. So we do a little bit of that. But no, I just love training dogs, and I think I have a connection with them, and it's just passing over that information to the owners, really. And a lot of them are quite surprised how simple it is, but it's all to do with pack leadership, you know, where if you see a dog in a pack, you don't see the pack leader barking and biting the other dogs. It just gives them a look. It uses its body language, and the other dogs fall in line. And it's kind of using that sort of mentality to be a pack leader and control your dog, rather than people taking Fluffy out for a walk and letting it do what it wants.
That's much like me last year at Spring Detectable, being the alpha male, wasn't it, Adrian?
Yeah.
Kept giving you treats, didn't he?
He kept bringing me cakes. That was fine.
Yeah.
It's weird though, Gary, because I love dogs as well. Next to metal detecting, I've always had border collies, and it's really funny because in the current climate, everyone's getting, I won't say the breed, but a certain type of breed, because it's easy to look after and whatever. And people, I've got a border collie, a puppy. She's 4 months old, and the amount of people go, "Oh, yeah, border collies, very intelligent, need a lot of exercise, need a lot of training." And like, yeah, that's a good thing, because they're intelligent. So I can teach my dog to do things that your dog will probably never do. And she's cracking now. Lovely dog. And
well, there goes straight away, Adrian, a challenge which we'll come on to shortly with what Gary's been doing training his dog during lockdown. Now you started, so we'll come on to that momentarily. Gary, something fantastic that he said before the show. I called a German Shepherd an Alsatian, and I know in the back of my mind that there was a name change a while ago, but it didn't occur to me until Gary, tell me about that, because I thought it was so interesting, the name change, where it came about, all the history of it.
Yeah, well, it's a bit sketchy. I can't really remember a lot of it, but back in the First World War, I think the German Shepherds were used by the military, but because of the Hitler connection, the word German wasn't used. So they changed the name to Alsatian. And it was all down to a battle on the French borders, a place called Alsace-Lorraine, I think. And the German Shepherds, or Alsatians, kind of won the battle for the British. So they were named Alsatian after that. And as the years went on, I think 1974 or something, the Kennel Club changed the name from Alsatian back to German Shepherd, because everyone you speak to was bitten by an Alsatian, but nobody's ever been bitten by a German Shepherd, you know, so it's this stigma attached to it. So, you know, when we're walking our dog and it said, I was bitten by an Alsatian once, you can guarantee those people to come up and you think, well, you've probably bitten by a collie and a Doberman as well, sort of thing. But the Alsatian stigma really stuck with people like, you know, the staffies and things like that. Lovely dogs, but everyone was bit by a staffy at some point, and it's crazy.
I think that's a fantastic little bit of dog history because I didn't have a clue about that. And I'm sure most other people wouldn't know that.
So if you see someone walking a German Shepherd, don't say nice Alsatian, mate, because they'd probably give you a dirty look and just walk on. German Shepherd.
Or get the Alsatian to bite you.
Do you take your dog detecting with you, Karen?
Only on certain fields where I'm allowed to. You know, there's a pay-as-you-dig place over in Petersfield, which I go with her, and she's good as gold because when I'm detecting, she's then goes into work mode and she kind of stays with me. And when I'm digging, she's looking round, gives a little grumble if she sees someone. So that's something I've not really had to teach her. That's something she's just picked up.
That's weird because I've had collies over the years, but they've always got bored, like detecting with me. And my puppy at the moment, she doesn't go more than 15, 20 foot away from me, as long as she's got a stick or a ball.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
The biggest problem I'm struggling with is I get a target, dig down, put the pinpointer in the hole, find it, and then take some soil out, and the dog starts digging, which I'm like, yeah, that's quite handy until the signal goes, and then I'm like, oh, bloody hell. She started doing it at home now in the garden. So if I do a bit of weeding or gardening, she thinks, oh, I'm detecting. So she's digging a hole. So, but what is lovely for me is I can spend 4 or 5 hours out with her, and she genuinely will stay with me all day and have a drink and sit and lay. And it's so nice having a dog, detecting and dogs. But you've taught is it the current dog, the silver? Yeah. That is impressive.
It is, and I wish I'd have sort of kept up the training because that was just a furlough thing, really. Not a furlough, but a lockdown thing. And I had more time to sort of do these sort of little experiments and just dial her in, tune her up a bit. But sadly, I've not really kept that sort of thing up. So going back to another thing, dogs. When I go down the beach detecting, I always take the dog because people don't come up to a bloke with an Alsatian, you know?
German Shepherd.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. No, Alsatian on the beach, Dave.
What you said again about this thing, well, it's a good segue because there's a news article that's been published today, national newspapers and whatnot, about a dog. And I've never heard of this dog type, Adrian. Here we go. So, a family's new truffle hunting puppy has dug up 15 sovereign coins worth $6,000. It's a Lagotto Ramagnolo, and it was bought as a surprise to daughter. Took it out for the first time, not Nike hawking and blaming it on the dog at all, and found 15 sovereigns.
What?
The dog, it's a truffle hunting dog, that is, the Lagotto Ramagnolo. It's famous for truffle huntings, and it's dug up. There they are, 15 gold sovereigns, apparently.
What?
There you go.
I didn't see that.
There you go. Just what did I Google there? Google term that I put in. If you just Google dog dig sovereigns, and you'll find it.
He's not breeding them by any chance and selling them at like 10 grand each.
I said to Gary, you're going to have to get a Lagotto Ramagnola. I think it's a Lamborghini of dogs, to be fair.
Oh, gosh.
So there you go. That's a nice little segue, that. But you mentioned earlier about, obviously, the difference between gold and silver. And when we rub the silver coins, it gives off a sulfuric smell, and you believe the dog may be
picking up on
attracted to
that.
that.
Yeah. Whereas a gold is more of a pure metal. So in my mind, I don't think the gold will give such a smell off, but silver certainly, yeah. But I will sort of spend a little bit more time on that and see if I can move her to the next level. So that'd be great, taking her on a dig and just saying, just go for it, you know. But the thing is, when they do it right, when they find the coin, ideally you don't want them to start digging. You just want them to sit and look at you, and then you need to reward them. But obviously, if you give them a treat every time, you're going to end up with a big dog. So the reward is a ball or something like that.
Have you not seen me? The treats that people give me. Look at me.
And he never finds anything. Yeah. No, it is lovely taking the dog detecting.
Yeah.
And there's, how many famous metal detecting dogs are there? You've got Otis Arms. He had the German Shepherd, and they had the wheelchair for the back end of it. Went out detecting with him, carried his shovel. He's got a new dog now. Put some more on his video, and obviously Diggy with Digger Dawn.
That's right. And Holt's hammer.
Oh yeah, as well.
Yeah. It's a lovely little dog.
I forgot his first name. From
Alexander.
Yeah, lovely bloke. Yeah, all these people with the dogs. You know, it's getting the dogs out. It's, you know, one man on his dog, woman in Dawn's case.
Yeah,
and it's great to see as well. Dark Knight Detectorist, he's got a jackapoo. What he means by that is a mongrel, obviously.
Yeah. Give it a label.
Yeah, that's interesting though, Gary, because I was talking to someone the other day, and with all the lockdown dogs, a lot of people are going back to work now, whatever, and they're struggling with their dog, leaving them at home on their own.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know if the Dogs Trust or RSPCA or similar actually have someone who says we can help train your dog rather than us take it in?
Do you know, I don't think they do. It's not something I've heard of, and that would be a good little niche, wouldn't it?
Do something like that. It saves them money, and it would save the owners money, because it's got a dog at the moment. It's like £1,000, isn't it? It's ridiculous if you don't take a rescue. More than
but on the same trail of thought, I know Gary's doing it free of charge, but an actual dog psychiatrist, psychologist, how much would they charge?
It's probably cheaper in the long term rather than looking after.
Yeah, it would. But how much would the dog you take your dog to a dog psychologist? That'll be £220, please, for that 10 minutes.
Yeah, at least. But really, the reason why the dogs are in such a bad state is because of the owners. They're not willing to put in a lot of that effort. Okay, circumstances changes. I get that, but a lot of the time, the owners aren't willing to put that in. They just want to get rid of the problem, you know. It's a shame.
The Dark Knight Detectorist said his dog's a bitch and humps his wife's leg after we've had our tea. The dog gets more action than me.
And me.
I had a very scary experience with a dog.
Easy now, Tiger. Oh, right. Sorry, I thought you were talking about the experience with Mrs. Gale.
No, with a Doberman. I had scratch marks all over me. It got on top of me, but I love it. We're talking about dogs and detecting.
What could be better? Apart from we haven't discussed cake yet.
You can see people switching off, Dave. You can see the numbers going.
No, honestly, Gary, the numbers I'm watching. The numbers are consistent. They are indeed.
3.
I think,
Thank you, all 7 of you, for staying with us.
That's my son and my wife and my daughter watching, and your family, Dave.
Talk to the devil. Here she is. Look. Miss, up here.
She's very. Is she more or less fully black, Gary?
She's dark with some flecks in her. Yeah. Come on in.
You haven't given me a treat, Dad. Where's my treat?
Yeah, she wants a treat. We've got
the
treats up here. Let me do that. Come on then. Come on.
I want to be Gary's dog. He gives treats easily.
Come on. Come here. There you go. Good girl. That's
Can't
it.
be a dog.
Finished.
Yeah.
You've got
Another thing, Gary, I want to hit on as well, and it's something that myself, you, and Luke went back to last year, more or less, and a hell of a lot of people are going to add in the chat room that it's one of their passions as well. I know Adrian's done it. Was CBs, absolutely?
Oh yeah.
He loves CB radios, and we found an app last year, didn't we, called CB Talk.
That's right, yeah.
Which was by Midland, the big CB manufacturer of the day, and we were talking to people in American truckers and everything on there, weren't we?
It's great, wasn't
Yep.
it? It just opened it all up. It was brilliant, you know, all the different people. Yeah.
And
Luke even actually bought a Midland mic that fits into his phone and acted like the old CB radio, so he could use that talking on there.
Well,
Yeah.
it's funny you should say that, because with the new laws that are coming in about mobile phones now, you're not allowed to do anything in your car with it, basically. If you've got a CB, a two-way radio, you're legally allowed to use it when driving.
Bonkers.
So,
do you know, Adrian, I saw one at the car boot the other day, but I spent my money on the detector instead.
Yeah,
so... Well, I want to get a
van.
van. I'm after a van, and one of the things I want in my van is a CB, just to see if life's still out there. But Gary, I take it that's gone back years, back to the 70s and 80s for you.
Yeah, was it 27 megahertz units we used to bring in from the States? I can't remember.
Yeah,
the old Radio Shack things, and the sideband and the squelch, and they were great days, because it was like a cat and mouse back then with the detector fans. So we used to sort of all go up onto a hill, pitch up, and do whatever we were doing with the CBs, and then we'd have to get everything up and then scarper off to another part of the village. And you had like they were DFing you, weren't they? I can't remember what the name was, but they triangulated your position.
Yeah,
and they located you. But I had a friend who thought it was quite smart, because you needed one of them really big whip aerials to get the proper sort of transmission. And he had a motorbike back then, and he put the whip aerial on his top box, and his idea was to sort of blast from one area to another and not get caught on the bike, you see. And I thought, well, that's a great idea. And well, it turns out this whip aerial was sort of 6 foot high, and when he went through the local town, he went through the high street, and he was leaning round a corner, and this whip aerial striped about 30 pedestrians. So he had to put the mockers on that one, but I've always read that. Yeah,
I'm thinking of getting a CB. I'm seriously thinking about it, because they're so cheap now.
Really,
price they were in the 80s. And when I'm detected, I have a radio. One of the cheap. I've got to get a new one, but walkie-talkie, and it's really handy, because mobile phone signal, it's up and down, isn't it? It's where I detect. So
have a look on your mobile phone for CB Talk. It's by Midland Radio. Midland, who used to do the CB radios. The only problem was, and I'm sure Gary will attest to this, you used your battery on your phone, something rotten, and you could lose yourself for many, many hours just listening to people talking in America.
Yeah, I couldn't turn the app off. It seemed to be running all the time, and I didn't realise. And when you needed to make a call, this flipping CB app drained everything. Did you have the same?
Yeah, Gary, I've got a classic scenario. Company I work for, we had a meeting, so we're in like the boardroom, and my phone, I turned the volume down, put it on silent, and then I can't remember what my handle was. It was something like, I don't know, Gert Fisher or something like that. It's like, hey, Gert Fisher, where are you? And I'm like, I looked at my phone and I went, I'm really sorry. And then it was like, hey, breaker. Well, he started talking, and some trucker in Canada, because it's like a CB, you're on the channel. And I couldn't turn it off. And in the end, I had to uninstall the app.
I
Because
did.
I think it's
Yeah.
better now.
Yeah.
But got some sort of 70-year-old trucker talking to me in the middle of a meeting. And my directors were like looking at me. So
Yeah.
no different. Really.
Yeah.
You see, I'd have looked at you like you were really cool, Adrian. I would.
Yeah.
Yeah, most people would. I mean,
And I've just downloaded it again.
Yeah, we'll get on it tonight. So,
Yeah.
Gary, getting back to metal detecting, the last few years, there's been huge changes in machines.
Mm.
Do you think there's much more? Because we're up to multi-frequency now, and we got, Minelab originally did it, and it's evolving now to other manufacturers. Do you think we're going to have much more in the hobby in the next 2 or 3 years on machines, or do you think it's going to be more software updates and features as opposed to new machines?
I think it's going to be more gimmicks and add-ons than actual performance, because if you think about it logically, if you boost a metal detector up so much, you're just going to hear the ground. Once you've eliminated the ground, that's your limit, really. I may be wrong, but I think things are pretty much there, really, with technology, unless we've got some smart engineer who comes up with something really different. But at the moment, multi-frequency is like the buzzword, isn't it? It's the trend. But is it really any better than your single frequency? And that's a question which we're sort of asking ourselves all the time. It has got advantages, but also it's got disadvantages. For example, if you're using 4 frequencies, just out of curiosity, 4 frequencies, well, then you've got 4 times more chances of picking up EMI because there's 4 different frequencies rather than your single frequency. But multi-frequency is good at eliminated unwanted targets such as coke, seawater, rocks, that sort of thing, because it makes a comparison between the different frequencies and then makes the choice from that. Whereas a single was a little bit unstable. But on a Roman site or somewhere where there's loads and loads of iron, I still think the single frequency has got its place. Again, I think it'll come and go.
BLF isn't dead in my eyes for a long
Yeah,
time yet.
yeah,
Totally back that. They've all got their pros and cons, but
yeah.
I've noticed with multi-frequency machines sometimes, depending on the soil and the area, VLF single frequency sometimes works better. So,
Yeah. I think the reason why you're seeing a lot more multi-frequency machines coming out now is it's public demand. That's what the public want. But why do they want it? Because they think it's more modern, it's better. I mean, multi-frequency has been going for 25 years or probably even more. I'm going back to the sovereigns now. But the sovereigns, I think, were slightly different. They were kind of multi-frequency plus some pulse as well involved with that. That's what made them so good on the beach. But we're all sort of like juggling with the same things. I don't think there's anything groundbreaking.
And also, you will never get a manufacturer give you the full in-depth technical of their multi-frequency.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's a bit of a hard one. But it's all fun and games, isn't it?
It is all fun and games, and I think if you're searching beaches and things like that, or mineralized ground, for example, I think the multi-frequency will definitely give you an advantage. And of course, as you probably saw on one of my videos, you've got the all the coins together, which are missed by high frequency but hit by a low frequency, and then you've got your little nuggets what's missed by low frequency and found with a high frequency. So by using multi-frequency, you're covering both odds. You're hitting both the ranges, so that's your advantage. But when to use it, who knows? It's all this big learning curve we're all going through constantly, isn't it?
Well, it's like I keep going on. I think with gone into this IKEA type of culture where people buy something, use it 6 months, and then get rid of it, and they're not fully learning their machines. And I think going to XP, the original Deus is a prime example of that. I mean, 12 years now?
I think it is, yeah. But obviously it's evolved through updates, hasn't it? So
It has, yeah. But that's people have. I know people who've had those machines for 10, 12 years, and they know them inside out, and they can probably beat someone with a Deus 2 because they know their machine as opposed to the Deus 2 that have only had it for 2 or 3 months. And I think sometimes people are a little bit impatient. If they don't find something good in the first 3 or 4 days of digging, they probably think it's the machine, or they'll then go and change the settings. And it always makes me laugh, and you know this, working with XP closely, is the programs they put in their machines, they're not just done on a bit of software, and there's field testers who spend weeks, months, years getting all over the world. So the general program on the Deus 2 is the one that's probably best suited to you, but people will go in, mess it all up, and wonder why they're not finding anything. So,
it's the old syndrome, isn't it? If there's a button there, let's press it. You know, I'm guilty of that. I'm constantly, and you find yourself an hour in, and you don't know where you are. You've pressed so many buttons and changed so many programs. You're just confused with it all, But
it's exactly what I said to you that started before the show, wasn't it, Gary? I don't want machines like that because I will balls them up by doing that. I'll be like, ooh, like I did with the Rutis. The Rutis, everybody says what a brilliant machine. Couldn't get my head around it because I started playing with it. If I'd have just left it at what it was, like the Fisher F2, like the Vanquish, everything's there. You don't have to play with it. And I think that's what's best suited for me.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And because people have had Deus 1s for so long, they're so comfortable with them. The transition to the Deus 2, it should be easy, but the Deus 2 isn't a Deus 1. It's got its own redeeming features, so you need to appreciate it as a different machine. And, it's detectors all round, isn't it? When people go from one manufacturer to another, the learning curve, like you said, Adrian, you need to be patient. It can take a little bit of time.
You also realize every time you say Deus 2, in my head I say electric boogaloo every time.
Very good. Very good. But
no,
Deus
3 is apparently coming out in October, I hear.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
It's quadruple frequency.
No, I've not got it here.
No.
He has. It's in that cupboard behind him.
Yeah. It runs off 6 AA batteries. Yeah. Groundworks and everything. But yeah, you've still using your Deus 2, Gary, and you're enjoying it all right.
I am. I'm really enjoying it. It's going well, and I'm learning this one. But to be fair with you, I've had days with the Deus 1, and I thought, God, I never knew that. That little tweak there, that little tweak. I never realised that. So it's a constant. Like I said before, this is what I love, the learning. But the Deus 2, it's being updated, and I think what they've got now is pretty much the done package from what I can understand. The little bug fixes and things like that are all been sorted out, and it's all good to go. But if it's just us 3 listening, I can let you into a little secret regarding the updates. I think we might be having an update for Mac users at some point in the near future, so it's not just PC only. So
wow.
Don't say anything like that.
Won't say nothing.
No, don't say nothing.
About what?
Yeah. So I know that's being worked on at the moment. And
Jason Jones. Yeah, all like that.
Once all the Deus 2 updates are all sorted and we're all happy, I think we're then going to perhaps go into a little update for the Deus one and the ORX, just some nice little features. But we're working on that. But obviously, we've got to get the Deus 2 all sorted out first of all.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Which is still new, isn't it? Really.
yeah, someone said to me today about the Horde Hunter, which was announced in 2016, I think, at the Paris show. Yeah, bring it on. As far as I know, it was pretty much done, but we're just waiting for the right time just to finalise things on that. So hopefully we're looking at that in the next, I don't know, it's going to be a few years perhaps, but it'd be nice to see that come out, wouldn't it? But when you've got something like a Horde Hunter, a machine that goes really deep, you're then sort of walking on dodgy ground because you're possibly going through stratospheric layers, aren't you? You're going that deep. So, a lot of the countries will get really emotional about that, especially sort of places where it's sensitive. So we've got to be really careful how we move forward with something like that, because you don't want people 4-foot holes in playing fields, do you really?
No, that would be a bit of a problem.
As detectorists, we've got to sort of go down the responsible angle.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah.
How long have you been involved with XP, Gary? I mean, from loosely connected to obviously working with them today.
2002, the boss man come over here and we've done some detecting together, and that was when the original Gold Max was just released, well, pre-release. So we come over here and we've done some testing, and we sort of been friends ever since.
Brilliant.
So officially working for XP, it's probably about 6 years, something like that.
Wow, it's all right, isn't it? Good few years, and it's you've got around meeting a lot of people via obviously doing the XP things and helping them out as well.
And that's the good thing, you go to these events and stuff like that, and you're actually putting sort of faces to names, because a lot of it is sort of communicating via social media or email, and it's just nice to get out there and meet the people. Definitely.
Yeah. I think hats off to you for your YouTube videos, Gary. Loads of people love them, and they're really good. I enjoy watching them, definitely. They're very informative, nicely put. Do you do them on your own, or do you have someone with you?
For the XP channel, a lot of them are filmed and edited by Stuart Mina, who's a great guy. But on my channel, it's just me running gun stuff. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. But I've got the gear acquisition syndrome at the minute. I can't stop buying cameras and camera related equipment. Just trying to move that one step further rather than, like I say, to just point and shoot stuff. I'm trying to get sort of different lenses and just thinking about it a little bit differently, because the same old can get a bit boring, can't it? And just try and change things up a little bit. It gives me a bit of motivation as well.
Like the effect you did your Halloween one, where there was a ghost in the background.
Ah, yeah, the green screen. Yeah.
Did you see that, Dave?
I didn't.
No.
I didn't.
Oh, it was really, really good. Talking of ghosts.
Saying that, if you go, sorry, Adrian, if you go to my video I did with the MI6 features and functions, which is going back a few years, there's flipping orbs flying around in front of me. You can see them, just orbs. I'm sat here in the office, and there's just orbs. Crazy.
Gary, don't get me started on orbs.
No. Right,
I'll counteract you to pieces. I'm not going to go there. I'm zipping up there. Orbs, no. Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
No.
Done too much testing procedures. All these bloody half-wits that go around going, "Ooh, pink orbs are ghosts of women and blue orbs are ghosts of boys." Imbeciles. No, I've done far too much testing, and
Well,
I've got my belief, but I won't counteract anyone else's belief. But from the testing I've done, no, I wouldn't say orbs are any way, shape, or form.
well, I've got a guy over in Jersey who's makes that his speciality, and he's got some really compelling evidence and photographs and things like that. And it's especially down in the tunnels, the Second World War tunnels. He's took equipment down there, and some of the photographs he's shown me has just been mind blowing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But each to their own, you know, each to their own.
Absolutely. In religion or anything, I will not in any way, shape, or form ever disrespect anybody, but I do have my own beliefs, and I wouldn't expect them to say the same to me. And this is a brilliant segue because, again, before the show, Adrian asked you a question, and he wanted to elaborate on it a little bit more.
Is that yeah? So basically, Gary, it's a text call. We had a chat, and you were talking about the Roman surgical tweezers, was it, or something you found? Would you mind elaborating on that? Because I was like, after you told me.
Yeah, well, it's a long story, so I'll split it down really. I was living in my previous house. There was some strange things going on, and bad things were happening to me every time I'd done some DIY in the house. Crazy, I know, but they were like I'd electrocute myself, fall off a ladder, chop the end of my finger off, whatever. And it was every time I'd done DIY. So I got chatting to a friend, and he said, "There's something in your house." My brother had the same thing, so phone this woman up. So this woman come round to my house, and she basically said, "There's a spirit in here who's the alpha male, and your wife and your son and your daughters, his family, and he doesn't want you in the house." So anyway, it all cracked on, and she said, "Look, I've gonna get my spirit guide to see him off, blah blah blah." And I said, "Wait." My son was upstairs. I said, "Dan, come down here and listen to this, mate." And he was sat there, and she was going on, and she said, "Right, he's going to the light now, blah blah blah," and the room just warmed up. You could feel it warming up from your legs up. The whole body went warm, and the son was feeling the same. And it was like, wow, this is quite a thing, because obviously I was there experiencing it. So anyway, that was all done and dusted. And she said, "Well, this isn't my specialist subject. My specialist subject is," what I can't remember the word is for it now, Dave. Psychometry. She said, "If you give me an object, I can then go back and sort of tell you who owned the object and where it was lost." And I gave her some Roman tweezers, and she grabbed these tweezers, and she was having a great conversation with someone. And she said, "Oh, I'm really sorry. I'm talking to a guy called Marcus. He's a Roman surgeon, and these used to be his tweezers. And he was decorated for exemplary sort of work in the battlefield and all that lot." And I said, "All right, so where did he lose them?" And she looked out the window, and she said, "Just over there in them woods." And that's exactly where I found them. And that used to be a Roman camp, because I had some woods opposite my house, and that's where I found them. Anyway, and I said, "I found a Roman brooch as well." And what was it? And also she said, "This Marcus also lost another two implements along with these tweezers, because they were all on a leather strap, and he'd love you to go and find them." And the story went on from there. And I said, "Oh, a Roman brooch." And I showed her a fibula, and she said, "No, don't be silly. Give me a pen and paper." And she drew a Roman disc brooch and some medical implements like spikes. And she said, "That's what was on the leather strap." So that kind of blew me away. And she said, "You know, when you're out there detecting again in those woods, Marcus will guide you and you know, to the spot." But I never did find the other bits. But I gave her some hammered coins, and she basically said, "Well, these were lost together, but these four were lost by a different person." She actually knew I was trying to trick her, and she said, "No, these 4 were in the group, and he lost these on the way back from market. He sold a load of cat, and it was just mind blowing."
But for her to draw those implements, they're not the sort of thing you learn to draw at school, are you?
No, and
So, and they are the sort of things we find detecting. So,
yeah,
if there was a clairvoyant at any detecting rally, how cool would that be? We'll go to the flow first, and then go to the clairvoyant. I mean,
yeah.
well, exciting.
It just blew my mind, because like I said, I had to have my son sat next to me because I wanted a witness, basically, because no one would believe me, no one at all. But after that day, there was no problems with the house. It was all good. I didn't keep injuring myself. I didn't need a carer. You know, it was all good, and it was just because this horrible spirit who maybe used to live there as a 1920s house. And apparently he was so nasty, he drove his family out. They all moved away. And he wouldn't go to the light because he was convinced he was going to go downwards because he was a horrible person. So that was the end of it. But she said, you know, when you're in this house, she said, don't talk about him again. Just put a line under it. And we never did. And that's why the time, I think it was... who was it? Dave D's partner, the American guy, Lance, was it? Lance Goolsby?
Yeah.
Go on the show and talk about it, but I said I'm not, because I don't want to bring it back up, because I'm sort of still living in that current house. So that's why I didn't do it. But no, we've had a few different experiences with ghosts and that, and yeah, I'm a believer, really am.
I'll have to sort you out a copy of my book and send you that. In fact, I can send you the manuscript on Word if you want to read it that way.
We
got it on audiobook.
Sadly not. It'd be me talking, it'd be boring.
Facebook user has just said this would be an amazing subject. Future show. It would. And
we've been there. We've done a Halloween special. It was me and Julian hosted it, doing about the paranormal. Yeah, and it was some of the stuff. There's one in particular that'll always come back to me, and that's Nick West, when he was he done a bit of a hike in France, set up camp, and the next morning he thought the loggers were coming. Nothing there. Saw up, got out the tent, and it was basically, I think it was an SS unit. And he went back to the town, bit white and shaken up. And the someone in the township went, "You've seen the SS unit up in the woods, haven't you?" So something like that, words to that effect. But
I think it's
fantastic.
They heard all the noises and stuff.
Yeah.
We could talk all night about this.
Oh yes.
It's something which is very interesting.
And as we've only got 10 minutes left, we're going to have to move on to another bit that. Oops, Gary wanted to give mention to as well. Gary, Jamina, tell us about Jamina. And I'll go full screen. Where's full screen? There it is.
See that?
You'll like this, Adrian.
This is a British company, and they're making these really cool Roman pendants. Look, so you've got the Emperor Galba. That's actually the Emperor Galba there with his headphones on. And on the back there, you've got a coil. Now, he does these things in hallmark silver as well. It's a new British company. He's a friend of ours. He loves detectorists. So if we could go over his website and perhaps support him, that'd be really, really good.
And obviously, you mean this website with them?
That's the one. That's
beautiful
the one.
Roman pendants, Medusa Celtic coins. Beautiful. Absolutely stunning.
Really are works of art.
Do you like them, Adrian?
It's a bit his site map to Google because it's not coming up on mine.
No, it's not yet. You have to go jamina.co.uk.
He's not opened it up to the search engines yet. It's a new company, so he's just finishing putting all the pictures and stuff up.
Wow!
I sent Luke some pictures. I don't know if Luke sent them across to you.
No, sadly not.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we go to the homepage, and there's lots of other stuff as well. All the products, look.
Wow, lovely.
They're
Aren't
all
they?
hand carved. All them dies are all hand carved. So
Fossils. Some stunning stuff. Look at that one there. Fishtail coil Celtic stater pendant. Beautiful. There you go. Jamina.co.uk. And considering they're all handmade and there's a lot of his, as you say, still silver, very reasonable price too.
yeah, and you can also win this very, very object if you go onto my latest video where I'm sat here doing a Q&A. At the end of it, there's a competition. So if you can give this emperor a really cool name, the best name will win this. And
Keith.
also next week, there's going to be another pendant on my XP Adventures Facebook group. We're going to do a little competition. So Jamina's given me 2 of these to give away. So that's where I'm doing it. So
big shout out to Jamina. We look forward to seeing more.
I'll put you in touch with him, and perhaps he can get you some stuff for the show.
Fantastic,
like I say,
yeah.
Company, so they've not really gone sort of public with it all on the search engines and stuff like that yet. They're just getting their all behind the scenes worked out. But yeah, great company. They love detectorists.
Well, you know, if you give him a shout and let him know that we exist, the big detecting show in the Archaeology and Metal Detector magazine.
Yeah.
Sure, we can sort something out, no problem there.
Cool.
Yeah.
Be good.
All like stuff like that. Did you spin the coil, Dave, with Gary?
No, we got 5 minutes left, and there's one more question I want to ask him.
Oh no, go on then.
Motorbikes. You're a big motorbike man as well, aren't you?
Well, when you mess around with these detectors all week, you don't really want to see them at the weekend. So I had to have another sort of hobby, really. So I'm quite into my bikes. I've got a 1978 Triumph Bonneville 2140V, which I've had for about 30 years. I had a ponytail when I bought that thing. And I've also got a Harley Dyna. So 2007 Harley. So we've got a little Harley Davidson group, because living down near Winchester, there's a cafe called Loomis, and that's a real sort of focal point for bikers. So, you know, it makes sense really to have a bike and sort of get in with that crowd. So that's what we do. And we go out some Sundays with the British Bike, the Portsmouth British Bike Club. That's quite interesting because someone always falls off every Sunday. You know, all the wobbly old boys are about 80 years old. Someone always gives it a handful of front brake and comes off in the gravel. So we have to dust them down and point them in the right direction. So that's really it, really. I love my Harley.
What was your first bike, Gary?
My first bike, what legally? I mean, when I was about 12, I had a BSA Bantam we used to ride in the woods and stuff like that. But the first bike legally was a Gorelli Tiger Cross moped, and then I upgraded to a Suzuki AP50. That was the moped days, you know. So worth a fortune now.
Well, the old FS1Es,
Fizzies,
yeah, Fizzies. I mean, they go for silly money now. And I've started seeing things like Yamaha DT50s, like the sort of motocross bikes. They go for thousands now.
Yeah.
I want one, but my wife won't let me. I used to have bikes when I was younger, but that's when, like you said, not that I'm condoning it, used to ride it down the back roads and stuff, no license. And but they were good times, very good times. Yeah.
A couple of years ago, we went into Winchester because she wanted to have a look at some furniture, and I sort of said, "Well, you look at the furniture. I'm going to have a little ride around and look at the Ducatis, because there's a Ducati place in Winchester." And I saw this Ducati, and I said, "Yeah, I'll have that, mate. If you could just deliver it in about 4 days' time, you know, after I've got permission afterwards." He said, "Yeah, no problem." So that was an expensive bit of garden furniture. That was. We ended up buying a Ducati Scrambler, but I got bored of that quick. So I've still got my Triumph, and like I've got the Harley. We've got a little Harley Facebook group, which we sort of all sort of congregate on that and go out for rides and things like that. So it's just nice to have different hobbies, isn't it? At the weekend, you know, another thing to chuck your money at, I guess. So yeah, there's plenty going on. There's plenty going on.
As my daughter keeps saying, Gary, YOLO. You only live once.
Yeah, yeah. You're absolutely right there.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with that. Make the most of your life whilst you can.
Definitely. You've got to. You've got to. There's no good sort of worrying about tomorrow and what might happen tomorrow. You've just got to sort of crack on, really.
Absolutely.
And I think also with the hobby of detecting, when I go out, it makes me realise how lucky I am to be able to walk, smell the air, breathe, dig a hole, and be in the lovely countryside. Some poor buggers can't, and would love to. And the day, I think we spoke about this the other week, Dave, on the show, the day I'm in a wheelchair and trying to get across a ploughed field, I dread. It will come one day, but yeah, I do worry about it.
That's right. Well, the other day I was sat up on the meadow there looking over Winchester with the dog, and I thought, do you know what? Life's not too bad, is it?
No.
You know, and then I looked down and she chewed my pinpointer up. So
well, an MI6 was it? Oh,
yeah.
Oh.
Well, what it was, I was training her because I was doing a piece to camera about the MI6, losing the MI6, and the dog sniffing it out and retrieving it. And do you know what? She wouldn't pick this MI6 up because I think she thought it was naughty. And in the end, I had to make it a fun thing. You know, yeah, let's go over the park with the MI6, and she done the bit to camera brilliantly. And now she thinks it's one of her toys. So fortunately, I've got chewed up I've got 2 chewed up MI6s to be fair with you, but no big deal. It's one of them things.
Me concerned now. I'm just thinking where my MI6 is. Yeah.
Well, listen, Gary, it's 9:30, and I've really enjoyed tonight. It's
brilliant.
We've touched on metal detecting, but getting to know you a little bit better. You know, it's talking about dogs and things. And everything else. It's been really, really interesting. And as I say, during the show, finding out that German Shepherd story was pretty eye-opening. It was great. So thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure as ever, obviously, but more so tonight. I think tonight was a little bit more personal and obviously discussing just solely the XP. So appreciate that and thank you very much.
Yeah. And sorry if you've lost most of your viewers. Apologies for that.
Gary, honestly, I'm looking and everything is still as consistent as it has been throughout the show.
Still 7 then.
No, it's just gone down to 6 now.
No, yeah. No, I think, Gary, sometimes it's nice to have people on the show who don't realise how much they're liked by people in the YouTube community and etc. And you are one of those guys.
And respected.
You're respected. You're a genuine guy. You look at your comments on your YouTube channel, and everyone's like, "Thanks, Gary. Great, Gary." You might get the odd idiot, but it's what you do for the hobby is great. You're a genuine person, and you help people. And I think that comes across, like you said, with your dog training. You do it for free. You're a genuine guy, So thank you very much. It's been lovely.
That's brilliant.
Show.
Thank you very much. That means a lot from you guys. Thank you so much, and thanks to everyone for supporting me. Really, you're doing these videos, and you think, is it really worth it? Are people bored with this? It's just nice to get some positive feedback. And if anyone out there wants any sort of specific videos, just drop me a line.
That's what it's about. I mean, looking in the
don't
chat
ask,
now,
don't ask me that. I can
nice
come up with
things.
all sorts of crap for you, Gary.
Yeah. No.
But it takes work. I mean, the YouTube videos aren't really point and squirt. People think you're walking out with a mobile phone and just screaming into it. I tend to do it a little bit different. probably my own fault buying too much equipment, but I'd like to try and get the sound right. And now with the filming, I think the quality is going to be a lot crisper from now onwards. I'm just sort of just taking a bit more time over things. But,
and buying more equipment.
Buying more equipment. I know. Some more coming tomorrow. All right, guys. Thank you very much.
On that note, Gary, it's an absolute pleasure. Thank you as ever.
Cheers.
For those of you who are attending the Big Detecting Show Dig this weekend, really looking forward to seeing you. You don't have to bring me cake, but Adrian will be there in spirit. In fact, I'll probably video call him just to show him around and what's going on, and Luke also. So, as I say, we look forward greatly to you coming this weekend and supporting us. And we've got the weather, we've got the land, and let's hope we get the fines, which I'm sure you will. So, Gary, again, thank you very much. Adrian, love you. Thank you very much. And we will see you all same time, same place next week. Hopefully, we will have the Dark Knight Detectorist with us.
Yes.
I've got to email him back, and I will do that soon. So thank you all, and good night, Adrian.
Good night, David. Take care,
Bye-bye.
James.
Bye.
Get well soon.
Get well, James.